Okay, thank you very much everybody for coming. Did Mr. Loan want to introduce?
Good morning everyone. My name is Loan and I'm the chairman of Living Islamic Cultural Center. We have been in this building for approximately 9 years, and previously we were in different places, mainly for most of the time of Albert Road in the community center. It's my pleasure to welcome the school and the teachers, and if there are any parents, to Living Islamic Cultural Center. I hope the session will be of use to children in particular and to everybody else as well. And with that remarks, I pass it on to Mrs. Naeem, who will be taking proceedings of the day. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Just a quick safety announcement. We got unlike the event of fire, we got two exits, fire exits, one on this side, one on that side. And we go through there or here, and we meet up in the car park for roll call. Hope it doesn't come to that.
Okay, good morning everyone. Good morning. My name's Mrs. Naeem. I'm a teacher just like your teachers. I worked in a Church of England school, primary school, for over 20 years. So I've been a teacher for a long time now. On my 2 days off, I do lots and lots of voluntary work. So one of them is I go around lots and lots of schools to talk about Islam, because I actually wrote the curriculum for Islam, which you teach in all your schools. And because I actually wrote the curriculum, then I go into lots of schools and I do lessons on Islam, I'll do assemblies, that kind of stuff. And whenever a school comes to the mosque, then the mosque always invites me in to host everybody, being a teacher. So welcome everyone. What we're going to do is we're going to have two small talks. The first one will be on the history of the mosque. Then we're going to look at a little bit about Islam and prayer, which we do need to know before we look around the mosque. And then after that, if you're extra good, we will do some dressing up as well at the end, and we'll have lots of questions as well. Okay? So let's start off with the history of the mosque. Okay, so this is what the mosque looks like at the moment, but it was actually in 1982 when Muslims first started moving in from London, because London, there were a lot of Muslims. And did you know that in these days, Romford was actually countryside in those days? So a lot of you are nodding there, so you might have remembered there was a lot of green land and, you know, it's lovely countryside, not like it is now. And lots of Muslims started moving out of London to either live here in better conditions, more spacious conditions, or maybe to work here. And it was easy to commute to London because the main train lines go straight to Liverpool Street from here. So because of that, a lot of people might have lived here, come to live here, or to work here. It was easy to come in and out of London as well. So it was in 1982 that Muslims started hiring out this place, the Century Youth House, and it is here that the Friday prayers used to take place. So Friday is the holy day for Muslims, just like Saturday is the holy day for Jews and Sunday is the holy day for Christians. And it was here that the Muslims started praying, and slowly, slowly the number of Muslims grew. And that place, one, it was too expensive to hire out every Friday, and two, also, there wasn't enough space. So a hunt started for a bigger place, a permanent place, and it was actually in 2006 that this place was found. Did you know this was originally a fireplace centre? I don't know if anybody actually, you remember that? This was actually a wholesale fireplace centre. So it was a nice big space, and it was about to close down. So the mosque then decided to buy that, and by this stage they had collected all the funds they needed. And after, you know, many hardships, it's not easy, especially nowadays, to have a mosque. the cultural centre was given the go-ahead, and we were in the newspapers. And this is the opening ceremony where everybody was really, really happy that day, and they all, you know, opened up the doors of the mosque, and that was in 2007. And I have actually been involved with the mosque since then, because I was asked to come and teach some of the children in the Sunday school we have here. Who goes to Sunday school in church? Anybody? Some of you do. So like you go to Sunday school in church, we run like a weekday school after school here for children to learn Arabic and the Quran and how to be good Muslims, stories from the Quran, that kind of stuff. And then since then, the mosque has expanded, so you all came in through the car park from the back. That was all bought afterwards. And currently, at the moment, I would say this space is too small. Again, on Fridays, we have 2 sermons and 2 Friday prayers, and it's packed out right to the outside of the doors. And when we have our celebrations, I think we had 5, didn't we, sessions? 5 Eid prayers we had. And still the last one was packed out. I couldn't even get in through the doors that day. So very, very busy. So again, we are now thinking of the future, because we are going to need a bigger place. But that's for the future. Okay, any questions on the history of the mosque so far before I go on to the religion? One second, I'll just put this up. Ready? Okay, let's have you. And I don't know your name, so I'm really sorry, so I'm going to have to just point. What is a mosque? A mosque is a Muslim place of worship. Okay, so we would come here to pray in the mosque. Okay? Yes? So I already explained, it was in 2006. We bought this place. It was already sort of built like this, but obviously all the decorations and everything, like on the windows, those green little domes to make it look like a mosque, were put in afterwards. The carpets were put down later on. The carpets are also in the shape of a mosque. Lots of little mosques, which I'm going to talk about all of that in a minute when I do prayer. Any more questions? And you come here, don't you? Yes, so this young girl here, Sarah, it is Sarah, isn't it, comes to the school I'm talking about, which happens after school. So she comes here as well, so she's actually one of my students. Okay, so what do you think the word Islam means? First of all, have they covered a bit of Islam in school? A little bit, okay. So we'll take it right down to the beginning. So what does the word Islam mean? Yes? Any ideas? No? I'll give you a clue. The clue is in the bird that's flying around. What kind of bird do you think that might be? Yes? Pardon? God. No? What kind of bird is that? Somebody said it here. Yes?
Peace.
Peace. Well done. That is actually a bird of peace. It is a dove. And a dove is a symbol of peace. And that is exactly what Islam means. An anagram of the word Islam is salam, and that's how we greet each other. Some of you who may go to church, the Reverend normally says, "May peace be with you," and we say, "and also with you." Okay, and this is exactly what the Reverend say in the churches: "May peace be with you," and everybody says, "and also with you," and that's exactly how we greet each other as well. So the word Islam means peace, and Islam is a complete way of life, which you'll find out in a minute. And Islam is not a new faith. We believe it's the same truth that God revealed through all his prophets to everyone. What is a prophet? Who knows what a prophet is? Shall we choose you this time? It's a messenger. Well done. Good. Excellent. A messenger is somebody that God sends to the world to tell everyone to be good. A messenger always comes when something bad is happening on the land. So when Moses came, does anybody know what bad was happening on the land? Who's seen that film, Prince of Egypt? What bad was happening on the land when Moses came? Who was being evil? Yes?
The king of Egypt.
Good, and he was the Pharaoh, wasn't he? Well done. He was being really evil. He had made slaves out of all the people living there, all the poor people. So Moses came and told him to stop, okay? So whenever a prophet comes, or a messenger, they always come at a time when something bad is happening. Islam is the second largest religion in the world, and these are all the countries where Islam is the second largest religion, and England is actually one of them. There's actually nearly 3 million Muslims now at the moment living in England. Does anybody know, it will mainly be the teachers, which country has the most number of Muslims in it? Any ideas? Quiz question for the teachers. Pardon?
Dubai.
No, no.
Turkey.
I'll give you a clue, it's not in the Middle East. A lot of people think it might be Arabia, but it's not in the Middle East. Yes? It's not Bangladesh. One more guess. Yes? It's not Pakistan either, no. It is actually Indonesia. It's actually Indonesia. And did you know, in Indonesia there has never been any wars or anything to spread Islam. There has never been any wars or anything in Indonesia ever to spread Islam. So in Essex where we live, or Havering, again Islam is the second largest religion after Christianity, bearing in mind that 22% of the population do not belong to a religious group. So we very strictly believe in just the one God, and we try and call him Allah, because Allah is the original word for God. Who has heard of the word Alleluia? Alleluia, do you sing that in your hymns? The beginning part of Alleluia is Allah. And did you know that that is the original Aramaic word? And Jesus said that word. Jesus used to refer to God as Allah. And Alleluia means praise be to God. So when we say Allah, we mean the same God which Jews and Christians worship. It's the same God for everybody. And if you ever come to a mosque, or if you come to any Muslim's house, you will always see this symbol in their house somewhere. What do you think that might say in Arabic? Yes. Who was I just talking about just now? Good, Allah. So that says Allah in Arabic, and sometimes you might even see a Muslim person wearing a necklace which says Allah on it. Just like you might see somebody with a cross necklace, and that means a Christian. Okay? So I'm going to pass this around and you can have a look. You can pass it that way, and then that way, and then that way, all the way to the back, and then the adults can have a look as well. Okay? And this, at the same time as you're looking at the artifacts, you need to listen and watch as well. So you need to do 3 things in one. We believe in Adam and Eve. Who's heard of Adam and Eve? Quite a lot of you. And from Adam and Eve, we believe that the whole world came. So we're all related to one another. And did you know all the messengers are related to one another as well? So Abraham, who's heard of Abraham? Yes, quite a lot of you. Abraham had 2 sons. From Isaac came Moses and Jesus. And you've heard of both of those, haven't you? And from Abraham's other son, Ishmael, who went to live in the deserts of Arabia as a child, we eventually ended up, we believe, another messenger right at the end called Muhammad. Okay? Can you see that all 3 religions are linked? So from Moses came Judaism, from Jesus came Christianity, and from Muhammad we got Islam. And we believe Islam came right at the end. And each religion renews the religion before and updates any laws according to what was happening at that time. Okay, so that is what we're going to talk about in a minute. So now let's talk a little bit about Muhammad, because you might know about Jesus and Moses, but I don't know if you know about Muhammad. He was born in the Middle Ages in Mecca. Does anybody know which country Mecca is in? Which country is Mecca in? Shall we have you? You'll know, won't you? Good, Saudi Arabia. And he was upset about what was happening amongst his people. Do you remember what I said? Every time a messenger comes, there's always something bad happening on the land. So what do you think bad might have been happening when Muhammad came? There's 4 big things, really big things. Yes?
Is it
No, no. Do you think people were worshipping the one true God, Allah? Do you think they were doing that? No. They were worshipping hundreds and hundreds of idols or gods. Hundreds of them. Okay? So that is the very first bad thing happening in Arabia. So even though Jesus had come and all the previous messages, people had started to ignore the previous messages. And the times before Muhammad in Arabia, people were worshipping hundreds, lots and lots of gods. Okay? Either they were worshipping hundreds of gods, or what else do you think they might have been doing instead? If they were not worshipping hundreds of gods, what might they have been doing instead? Yes? Okay, something to do with gods. Either they were worshipping hundreds, or they were worshipping none at all. Okay? So they had completely forgotten about God. They had completely forgotten about God. Okay? Do you think the rich were looking after the poor?
No.
No, the rich were really, really rich, and the poor were really, really poor. None of the rich were bothering to look after the poor. So the rich were not looking after the poor. And the 4th one, I want you to remember these in order, okay? The 4th one is, the rich had been rich for so long, they didn't even know what it felt like to be poor. They didn't know what it felt like, and because they didn't know what it felt like, they had no sympathy, and they couldn't be bothered to help them. Okay, so that is the 4th thing. No concept of feeling how the poor feel. Are you going to remember those? Yes, I'm going to test your memory skills in a minute. So, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he was very sad, and he used to go up on a big mountain called the Mountain of Light, and it's there that he would really worry about the situation in his country. And he was a good man, and in his heart he believed in the one true God. So it was there that one day Angel Gabriel came to visit him there. Okay? Who knows another story where Angel Gabriel comes to visit someone? Shall we have you this time? What other stories are there where Angel Gabriel comes to visit someone? Mary, good. This is a clever class, by the way, a clever school. Well done. You're listening really, really well. So Angel Gabriel came to visit Mary and said, you're going to have a baby and you're going to call it Jesus. It's the same Angel Gabriel who came to Muhammad in the cave and showed him some words. Okay? And he said, read. Now Muhammad never ever went to school. He couldn't read or write. He said, sorry, I can't read. Do you think Angel Gabriel said, never mind, I'll come back another day?
No.
No, he said, read again for the 2nd time. He said, read. And again, Muhammad said, sorry, I can't read. And then for the 3rd time, he wasn't going to give up. He said, read. And then all of a sudden, there was a miracle. What do you think that miracle might be? Let's have somebody different this time. Let's have you this time, okay? He could read the words. And those words, we believe, were the words of God, and they were rules for mankind. So start doing this and stop doing this and do a little bit more of this. And those words form the Quran, which is the holy book of Muslims. Okay? Who can tell me what language they think the Quran is written in? This does not look like English, does it?
No.
Yes?
Arabic.
Arabic, well done. And Arabic is very similar to Aramaic, which is the language which Jesus spoke. Did you know Arabic actually was derived from Aramaic? And Arabic is different to English because it reads from right to left. So the Quran also opens right to left as well. Okay? And in there, the writing is right to left. You will never get any images of any gods and people or messengers on here. There's a reason for that, because Islam came to get rid of idol worship. If we had pictures of people on here, people might start worshipping the wrong thing again instead of the one true God, Allah. Okay, and that's exactly what was happening before Islam came. That's why in a mosque as well, you will never get any pictures of any messengers or gods or people. Okay, I'm going to pass this around from here for you to all have a look at. And I've got another one here for the other side, or at the back we could put this one maybe. Okay, and we would normally put the Quran on a stand like this. So here's our stand, and it opens up. Why would we need to put the Quran on a stand like this for? Yes? Well done. Well done. We pray on the floor, so because we pray on the floor, this is why you had to take your shoes off before you came in, because we keep the floor clean, okay? But the floor can still be dirty, and we respect the Quran because it's the word of God. So we would put the stand on the floor, and then we would put the Quran on top of the stand, okay? This one is beautifully carved. Can you see? Out of wood, hand carved out of wood. There are so many different kinds. If we quickly pass these around, this one is actually got brass pieces inlaid in there. Okay, so that one's got brass pieces in there. Let's put that one on this side. And depending again on which country they are in, there's so many different styles. This one is from Morocco. This has got plastic pieces hammered inside. Okay, let's have that one at the back, maybe the third row. Okay, and then did you know you can get little baby ones as well? This is my favourite one. I just think it's so cute. Okay, because children come to the mosque when they start school. They would normally start coming to the mosque. They would learn to pray. They would learn to read the Quran at an early age. Because try learning a different language when you're a teenager. It's not going to work, is it? Whereas in schools, even the government recognised to introduce languages at an early age in schools as well. So here is a little baby one. Sarah, do you want to hold that and pass it along your line? It doesn't matter, that's a different kind, isn't it? It's not, that's the little cute one. And will you have this one at the back there? Should we have you to come forward? Okay, so there's quite a lot for you to all look at. There's another cute one there. Okay, as a sign of respect, when we read the Quran and when we pray, we would normally cover our hair, okay? Try asking your grandmothers, or your great-grandmothers if they're still alive, what did they wear when they went to church? And they will tell you they always wore a hat, okay? Even now, if you go in some countries, I've been to Italy, to the Vatican in Rome, which is a very religious place, and if there's anybody wearing shorts there, or their arms are bare, they normally get a cloak to put around their arms, okay? So, even now, if you go to some countries in churches, I've been to church in Greece actually, and all the ladies there were wearing headscarves before they went in, plain black ones. So, let me see who I can choose. Who's sitting beautifully and quietly? Who would like to try on a hat? I need a boy. Okay, put your hand up. Right, let's have you. Let's have you. And let's have you. You want to come to the front? Okay, so let's stand over here. This is an ordinary skull cap. It's called a skull cap. This is what an imam or anybody coming to the mosque would wear when they are reading the Quran or reading their prayers. This is an everyday one, but there are so many different types. Here is, can you turn around? Okay, this one is one that we would wear on a festival, so it's extra glittery and colourful. And here is another one. Okay, can you see at the front of these two there is an interesting shape? Can you see what is that shape? Yes?
A cut-out triangle?
It is, but what do you think that might remind you of? It's the shape of the top of a, someone said it here, a mosque. Can you see those windows? The shape of the roof of the mosque is the same as this shape here. Okay? Right. What about girls? Their scarves are a little bit longer. Why do you think their scarves are longer? I've got my one on today and it's long. Yes. Because they have longer hair. Well done. So let me see who I can choose. Who's sitting nicely and would like to try on a headscarf. Okay, let's have you first. Yes? Sorry, I don't know your name, so I have to just point. Okay, and in the meantime, I'm looking at who else is sitting beautifully as well. So have a look at this. I think, come on this, so can you check if everything's getting done properly? So, this is a slip-on, and then if you look at this, a lot of people ask me, how do you put your scarves in? And I'm showing you now. So here is this hole, you make it across, and you put it over like this. There you go. And this is very similar to what Mary would be wearing, Jesus' mum. When you see pictures of Mary, she's always wearing something like this, isn't she, on her head? Right, I need 3 more girls who are sitting beautifully. We'll have you. And we'll have you. And shall we have the lovely girl there at the back? Yes, come on then. Okay, girls' ones are usually a little bit more glittery because us girls, we like our glitz. So here is, come a bit more forward so that we can show everyone how we put it on. So again, it's slip on like this, okay? And then it's got a very long piece there. And what we do with that long piece is we whirl it around once, and then the other piece goes like this, okay? Good, isn't it? Right. This one again, let's see. Okay, there you go, stand there. And this is my favourite one. This is actually from Arabia, this one. Can you all move along a little bit? Okay, so, can you see this one has got a little glittery band at the front. Okay, let's come on this side. At the front, so everyone can see in the middle. This one is even more different, and this is an Arabic style one. Okay, right. Can all of you, the ones who've got outfits on, sit in the front row and face me, because I'll be using you later for outfits. Okay? So if you can all sit on the front row and face this way. All in a line like you would in assembly. Come on, and you as well. Sit here, front row. Okay. What time do you have to go again? 11:30. Okay. So, in the Quran, let's listen carefully. This is where I'm going to listen and hear and see if you remember. Okay. So, in the Quran, there were 5 things which everyone was asked to start doing. They are the 5 pillars of Islam. And they're a little bit like a house. Can you see this house has got 5 pillars and it's holding up the roof lovely and strong? What would happen if one of those pillars broke down? Yes.
The house would fall down and rain.
Good, the roof would fall down, wouldn't it? So likewise, the 5 pillars hold up the roof of the house, okay? And we're going to try and guess what the 5 things were that God said. Who can remember the very first thing bad that was happening in the land? What was the very first bad thing happening? Yes. Pardon? What were people doing? Yes? No, that wasn't the first thing, was it? No.
They were not friends to God. They were friends to God anymore.
Yeah, that wasn't the first thing. That was not the first thing. What was the very first bad thing happening in Arabia?
They weren't following. They weren't following God's rules.
No, I'm afraid you haven't listened very well. Let's have one more. I can't hear you. No. The very first thing was people were worshipping hundreds and hundreds of gods. Hundreds and hundreds of idols. Okay? So what do you think God said? Did he say carry on worshipping hundreds of gods? What did God say? Yes.
Stop worshipping lots of gods.
And? Good. That's the bit I'm getting at. So God said, worship me, the one true God, Allah. So we're building our pillars one by one. So the testimony of faith is one sentence which summarizes our whole faith. The first part of that sentence is there's only one God, Allah. Okay? And the second part is Muhammad is his messenger. Why do we say Muhammad in that sentence and not Noah or Moses or Jesus? Because we believe in all of them. Did you know? Including their books and all their messages as well. Yes. Why do we say Muhammad in that sentence? One more guess and then I'm going to tell you. Yes. He is the last messenger, good, and by saying his name, it means we believe in all the ones before, including all their messages and everything they taught us as well. Okay? So this is that testimony of faith written in Arabic. Again, you would see that in everybody's houses, if you ever go to a Muslim's house, and in a mosque as well. So I'm going to send that around, you can have a look at that. Lots of things to look at. Right, what was the next bad thing happening in Arabia? Either they were worshipping hundreds and hundreds of gods, or... No, that was not the second thing. They were either worshipping hundreds and hundreds of gods, or completely the other way, or...
They were worshipping idols.
Good. That's the, well done for listening. Good boy. So the second one is they had completely forgotten about God. What is the opposite of forget? Yes? What's the opposite of forget? What's the opposite of forget? Yes.
No.
What's the opposite of forget? Begins with a R. Yes.
Remember.
Remember. So what do you think God said when the Quran came down? What did God say? He said, remember me. Start remembering me. How can you remember God? How can you remember God? Yes.
Praying.
By praying. Good. Well done. By praying. Okay, there's our second pillar. Pray. Okay? Right, now we come to the one that you're saying. That was the third one. Okay? The rich were really rich and the poor were really, really poor. What do you think God said to all the rich people? What did he say to all the rich people? Good. Give what to the poor? Money. And what's the cha word I'm looking for? When you give money to the poor, there's a special cha word, isn't there? Yes? Cha. Yes?
Charity.
Charity. Well done. Charity. There's our third pillar. Okay? The next one's a bit tricky, so you need to listen carefully. The rich had been rich for so long, they'd been rich merchants for so long, They didn't even know what it felt like to be poor. Okay? Because they didn't know what it felt like to be poor, they couldn't help the poor. They had no sympathy. They had no way of knowing how they felt. So what did God say? Let's see if we can get this one. Who can I choose this time? Yes. We've done that one already. We've already shared our money, haven't we? Okay? God said, feel how the poor feels. How can you feel how the poor feel? Pardon? Empathy. How can you feel empathy for the poor? How can you feel how the poor feel? There's your biggest clue here. How can you feel how the poor feel? Are you watching me? How can you feel? Yes, don't. Yes, so you don't eat for a little while. If you missed your lunch today, would that make you hungry?
Yes.
Would you then feel how the poor feel?
Yes.
Would you then be more likely to give them food and money and clothes? Yes, because it makes you feel like they feel. You feel sorry for them. What is the magic word I'm looking for? The F word. Yes? Fasting. Do you know that word, fasting?
Yes.
Fasting is where you don't eat or drink for a short while, and that makes you feel how the poor feel, and then you help them. Okay? And the last pillar comes right at the end. After you start practicing these four, you are expected to go to Arabia, to Mecca, which is the place where Muhammad was born, once in your lifetime. And that completes your faith. Lovely and strong at the top. Okay? So, all these things that were happening before Muhammad came, idol worshipping, people had completely forgotten God, rich not looking after the poor, no concept of feeling how the poor feel, then changed to believing in the oneness of God, concept of remembering God, rich have to look after the poor, and the concept of feeling how the poor feel. Okay? So all of that then happened. So now we're going to look at, we've already talked about the first pillar, we are now going to look at the second pillar, which is the most important in relation to today, because you're here to learn about prayer. Okay? Now, first of all, people were not remembering God at all. So God, how many times do you think he told everyone to start praying? It's going to be a big number, isn't it? Because people were not doing it at all. How many times? No? Have a look at the picture. There's your clue. Your teacher's guiding you really well there. Yes? 5 times a day. Okay? 5 times a day. If God told you pray 5 times a day, do you think anyone would have bothered without a timetable in place? Think of your school day. If your teacher tells you you've got 5 lessons today in the morning, you'd be all over the place, wouldn't you? You wouldn't know where to start. But if your teacher said you've got 1 lesson, numeracy or literacy, then you've got break, yeah? Then you've got numeracy, then you've got lunch, then you've got another lesson, then you've got another lesson. And then it's home time. That makes it easier, doesn't it, to organise your whole day. So, God gave us a timetable. In that way, we are more likely to pray, okay, when he gives us a timetable. So when do you think the first time is when we pray? Have a look at the pictures, and that will give you a good idea. Okay? Yes? Good, excellent. This is quite a good, clever school, by the way, so I'm very pleased. Very good school. So, morning, early in the morning, dawn time. Okay? When's the next big break in your school day? After the morning, you have a big 1-hour break, don't you? Yes? No, we've done morning. I said after the morning, you have a 1-hour break, a big one. What is that time of the day?
Lunchtime.
Good, lunchtime is what I'm getting at, okay? And then it's what's after lunch? What's after lunch? It's the afternoon. Good. And then after the afternoon it's evening. Evening. Have a look at the pictures because that will give you a very big clue. Then it's night. Okay, then it's night. Do you agree by doing this we're remembering God the whole day? Otherwise, we would go back to what was happening before Islam. We would pray to God once in the morning and then we'd forget about Him again the rest of the day. In this way, we're remembering God the whole day. A lot of people ask me, 5 times is far too much. But in the church school where I worked, for a long, long time, the children would pray first thing in the morning in assembly to God. Then they would pray again before going out for lunch to thank God for all the food they've given Him. Then they would pray again in the afternoon, okay, and that would be before they go home, okay, at the end of the school day, and then they would pray again at night before they sleep. That's already 4 times, isn't it? So you're only doing it another 1 time. And it's a constant counselling process in a way, free counselling. Some schools get counsellors coming in to talk to children. In this way, we're talking to God for free. We're getting rid of all our problems and worries and anxieties. Okay, and it makes us really healthy and peaceful. And all these positions are like yoga positions. Modern technology has proven that all these positions of prayer, they remove negative things from our bodies and removes all the stress and the problems, and by the end we're all lovely and peaceful, like yoga, like meditation. Okay? So, in your school, how do you know when it's your break time and your lunch time? What happens? How do you know? Yes?
We line up.
Yeah, but how do you know? Do you hear anything? You don't have a bell?
No.
Oh, that's a good idea, isn't it, to get them to know about time? Okay, well, I must say your school's quite an unusual school because most schools have a big bell that goes off that tells you when it's lunchtime and playtime. So do you think God gives us an extra reminder to remind us it's time to pray, everybody? Go and pray. Do you think we might forget in our busy lifetimes? Yeah, especially because there's 5 to remember. So God has given us a call to prayer, which in a mosque in England comes out within the mosque. You can hear it in the mosque. But in an Islamic country, it comes out of the minaret, which is here, which is a structure of a mosque, and it echoes around the whole dome. This is why a mosque is dome-shaped. This mosque is not dome-shaped because it's in the middle of Romford, and it's got to be in line with the structure around the town centre. But if you go to London, you do sometimes get very big mosques. The East London Mosque has got a very big dome. I might show you pictures later. And the dome is there for a reason. The domes were originally built to echo the call to prayer around the whole mosque. Has anybody heard that call to prayer here? If you are in an Islamic country, you would hear that if you ever went on holiday. Any teachers, have you heard it? In Turkey or Egypt maybe. Right, I'm going to put a little bit of that on and I want you to look at the words because I'm going to ask you a quiz question afterwards. Okay? And I will also show you everybody running towards the mosque. Okay, so can you imagine that going off in a country where there's lots of Muslims? You're not going to ignore praying then, are you? You're going to hear that, and it makes you want to go and pray, doesn't it? Okay. Did some of you understand the words that came up? Yes. Did you read the words? What were those words in relation to what I've been telling you about earlier? Did any of you see what was there? Yes. It was the Quran, but what is the words? For example, in that call to prayer, it said there is one God, Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. So what is that? That was in that call to prayer, wasn't it? What is that? Yes. It's the first pillar of Islam, the testimony of faith. The thing that was going around, I don't know who's got it at the moment. There you go, there it is. Okay, that is the very first pillar of Islam, is actually in the call to prayer, which means when we go and pray, we're already fulfilling the first and the second pillar of Islam. Okay? Right. When we pray in Arabic. Why would we pray in Arabic? My first language is English, so why would I need to pray in Arabic? Why would I need to do that? Why not Cockney whiny slang? I'm a Cockney. Why don't I do my Quran in Cockney? Yes.
Because Muslims are not allowed to say other things when they pray. They only have to say Arabic.
Yeah, but why? Have you ever thought about why? There's a reason for everything. I know we read it in Arabic, but why? Who can I choose? Yes. But God can understand any language. God can understand all languages. He can understand English as well, can't he? Yes. Yes?
Because Islam is in Arabic too, so they say you should.
But why? You're not understanding why. Right, I'm going to give you the last go, and then I'm going to have to tell you. Why in Arabic? No, it's not because of that. Right, two reasons. I'm going to tell you this time. Okay, listen carefully. I'm going to tell you. First of all, the Quran, which is the word of God, is in Arabic. Okay? So, by saying our prayers in Arabic, we're keeping the same words that God told us. We're not changing the words. Did you know that Arabic language, you can't even change some of those words in another language? They don't even exist. Because Arabic is so specific. It's also like, say you watched a film like Shrek in French, it doesn't come out the same, does it, than in its original language. The jokes don't come out the same. The sarcasm, the atmosphere changes. So by reading it in Arabic, you're keeping exactly the same words, God's words, without any changes. The other reason is that, did you know the Quran is written in beautiful poetry? And the poetry, each word at the end of a sentence rhymes. If you change that in English, it wouldn't rhyme anymore, because you can't always find the same word that means the same thing in Arabic and rhymes. That's the main reason. So I am now going to put up the first chapter of the Quran in Arabic, and I want you to listen to the rhyming words. This is the first chapter of the Quran that we read in our prayers. Whenever we pray, we start our prayers with this chapter.
الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين
end of each line was in. Yes? It was all rhyming, wasn't it? And then at the end he said Amin. What's Amin? Yes? Now, what is Amin in English? Some of you are not thinking. Let's think carefully about this. What's Amin in English? What might that be?
Someone's arm.
No. Have you ever read a prayer before? Anything in your school? Amen. Good. She got it. Well done. Clever girl. Amen. Have you ever heard of the word Amen? Yes? When you pray in a church and you normally say Amen at the end. What do you think that might be in English, that prayer? This is a question again for the teachers. What do you think that first chapter of the Quran might be in English when we translate it? I'll give you a clue, bearing in mind we believe in all the previous messengers and everything they taught us as well. Any ideas? Do you know?
It's the same first chapter of the Bible.
A lot of people say that, but it isn't. It's not Genesis, no. Any ideas? What did Jesus teach us? The Lord's Prayer? Okay. The Lord's Prayer. That is actually the Lord's Prayer in Arabic. The Lord's Prayer. Did you know when I was a child and I was at school, we had to learn off by heart. And I still know it completely off by heart. And the Lord's Prayer is that, what you just heard in Arabic, and that's how we start our prayer every time. Now, if we had to pray 5 times a day, some of us might slack and say, well, we're not going to find things 5 times a day to pray about. How many times can you thank God or ask Him for things? This is why God has given us Muslims a set prayer. We are more likely then to pray because we know exactly what we're going to say in those prayers. Does that make sense? Then at the end of those prayers, we can still do our own prayers and ask God for whatever we like. So PlayStation games, Xbox games, slim bodies for us older ladies. Okay, so we can still do our personal prayer as well at the end. But it's a set prayer because then it's easier to pray, isn't it? Much more easier to pray. Okay, and did you know that we wash ourselves before we pray? We copy Jesus. Did you know all the previous messengers also wash themselves before praying? Some of us older ones might remember the film Jesus of Nazareth. It used to be out every Christmas. And if you watch that film, Jesus, before he goes into the temple, he washes his hands, his face, his arms and his feet before he goes in the fountain outside. When we go downstairs, I will show you that wash area in a minute, okay? Because the sinks in a mosque are shaped in a different way to what you would see at home. And all that makes you respectful in front of God. We would face towards Mecca to pray, okay? Now, did you know in a mosque, there are lots of tiny prayer mats, all joined to make a big carpet. So this is actually one prayer mat. This is one prayer mat, okay? But in a mosque, these are joined up to make a big carpet where there's lots of these, okay? So each one of these is where we would stand. So we would stand in each one of these, and this point here faces towards Mecca. So the way the carpet is laid down in a mosque is laid down so that you automatically face Mecca. And this band here is where we would stand, okay? So everybody's facing that way. At home, we don't have carpets like this laid out, but at home we would have an individual prayer mat like this, okay? And the prayer mat, again, would not have any pictures of any people or gods or messengers on it. It would either be a shape of a mosque, which this one is again, okay? Or there'd be other flowers on it and things like that, okay? What can you see on there? Yes?
There's a compass.
There's a compass. Why do you think that's on there then? Why is there a compass on the prayer mat? Yes?
To know what way Mecca is.
Good
so you don't
boy.
get confused.
Well done. You're all listening really, really well. Really pleased with this school. So we So at home, we wouldn't know which way to face. In a mosque, we know where to face because the carpet's laid down in that way. Okay? This is actually a little bit old-fashioned now. What do you think we use nowadays instead of a manual compass like that? It's a bit old-fashioned, isn't it? What would I use, do you think? A phone, iPhone. They got that one right, didn't they? Apps on our phones. You know that accessories section where there's a compass? Well, did you know that was definitely put there for Muslims? Because why else would anyone want to use a compass? It's definitely there for Muslims. And did you know that call to prayer, we don't normally hear in Romford, do you? Do you hear that when you go out shopping? No. So we have apps on our phones which go off 5 times a day with the recording of the call to prayer in it. But when I was a little girl, and there were no iPhones in those days, that shows you how old I am, we had alarm clocks and they would go off 5 times a day. It was battery operated and it had the recording inside it of the call to prayer. Okay? Right, let's swiftly move on to the last part. And like I said to you before, Friday is the day of Muslims, the holy day for Muslims when they would pray. And it's different to the other midday prayers. There's a special midday prayer, different to the other midday prayers, where the imam, which is like a reverend, would sit on there. So I'm going to choose you because you're wearing a typical imam hat. If you can come and sit here, on here, and show everybody what an imam would do. So sit on there, okay, at the top. Don't be scared. Good. So it's lovely and high so that you can see everybody to make sure everyone's not talking, and they can also see you. Okay? And the sermon would be lots of good things like how we would give money to charity, how we should look after our neighbours, that kind of stuff. Okay? And there would be a loudspeaker system as well. There is a loudspeaker system here, and that then echoes around the whole mosque on the bottom floor as well. So anybody living downstairs will be able to hear as well. Okay? Right. At the end of our prayer, like I said, you can pray for whatever you like, but we might also, you might just come to the mosque not just to pray, but to sit and reflect, and also you can remember God. And this is like rosary beads. You know, like you get Catholic rosary beads? It's like that, exactly the same way you would praise God on them. Okay? Right, I think what we'll do now is we will go downstairs and we will have a look at the wash area and a couple of other bits. And then we'll come back up here and we'll finish off and have lots of dressing up and questions. There's going to be lots of those, isn't there? Okay? Right, so can everybody, line by line up at the door, okay, on the stairs, and we'll go down. Okay, everybody come down now. That's so nice of you. You didn't have to. It's good of you, though. It's very good of you. Okay, so we're going to all make lines here. And you just have to stand here, make your lines here. Okay, like you would in assembly. Okay, here. There you go. Okay, keep coming here. And I'll try and fit everyone around here if I can. Here. Right, you start another line, please. Okay? Right, I need to get in there, don't I? I need to be up here. Okay, good. Well done. Move along. Okay? Yeah, questions in a minute. Questions in a minute, because you know what? I'm going to end up answering all your questions while I'm talking. They can all go to the back. Okay, come along quickly, everybody. Are there any more children? Yes? You're all very well behaved, aren't you? All of you. Okay, so we can go all the way to the back, and it should be okay. We should fit everyone. Alan? Okay, is that everybody? Is there more? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because then when everyone moves away, you can have it.
We could all have a look. Go behind. Go behind. Emily, move along.
Okay, is that everyone? Yes? Okay, right. This is the wash area. As you can see, there's another section over there. Okay, now this is very different to what you would get a sink at home. Can you see there's lots of taps there?
Yeah.
Why are there lots of taps and lots of stools? Yes.
You can sit down and wash your legs.
Yeah, but why are there lots of seats? You don't need lots for that, do you? Yes.
It's because maybe everyone is there.
Yes, because as people come in, when it's time to pray, there's a big rush, isn't there? Everybody's
Yeah.
coming in here to wash. So that's why there's lots and lots of stalls, so we can fit lots and lots of people in to wash themselves, okay? Also, it's all very open. There's no enclosures. Why is that then? It's because of something that you said earlier around here about, yes.
So you can get past and you can walk through.
Yeah, but what bits are we washing? What bit can we wash easily if there's not a big thing to step over? Okay? Our feet, okay? When it's open like this, it's very easy to just sit here, isn't it? And just pop our feet here and just wash it. So easy, isn't it? Rather than, say it was a sink, how would we pop our feet down? So this is built in a certain way. It's very wide, so lots of people can get in, and it's very low, so people can wash their feet. Okay? Also, we're not going to get dirty 5 times a day. When we wash ourselves, it's more a mental process as well, where we are getting ready to face God. Okay? Right. Behind this lovely lady here, we have got 2 charity boxes. Okay? Now, do you remember the 3rd pillar was the rich were really rich and the poor were really, really poor? And all the rich people had to give money. Okay? That pillar is called zakat. That's what it's called in Arabic. So, did you know once a year, anybody who's got £1,000 or more spare in their bank accounts, they calculate 2.5% of all their money and they give the money to the poor. And the poor person they give to has to have under £1,000 spare. That's how we calculate it in this country. And that's money we have to give. Okay, and it's a really good system actually. It's one of my favourite pillars. A lot of people ask me, what's your favourite pillar? And that's my favourite pillar because I think it's a brilliant system because it distributes the wealth in the whole world. The rich become a little bit more poorer and the poor become a little bit more richer. So it's really, really good for you. Also, some of the adults might have heard of the saying that money is the root of all evil. The more richer you are, the more you're likely to get into, think of all the pop stars, drugs and all the rest, drinking. But in a way, a millionaire would have to end up giving $1 million away to charity, wouldn't they? Okay? Because, get down under the step and okay? So if you're a millionaire, you'd end up giving $1 million away to charity. So in a way, it keeps you humble and below all your limits. So did you know that because of this system, Muslims are the record breakers for giving the most amount of charity in the world? And in that fasting month that just happened, where we're thinking of the poor, £40 billion was given by Muslims to the poor. And not only do they have to give this charity because we have to do it, they give to other forms of charity. So the next box over there says sadaqah. And that is charity that we can give to whenever we like throughout the year to whoever we please. And that is extra charity that Muslims give. Okay? Right, I'm now going to take you around that area because this is the school area where all the children come after school to learn Arabic.
So, if you're at the back, Jack, you should not now be at the top.
Okay, if we can all come round here, this way.
Deal? No. Do not push. Everyone gets a chance to be in at the front.
So these are all different classrooms. These are separate classrooms. So we can all come in here. We don't need to see all of them.
Sarah, come here. You come here, Louis.
Okay, come on inside here, everyone. We should all be able to fit. And let's put our fingers on our lips so that we can all listen. Okay?
No. Back over there, Steve.
Can we all stay away from the walls, please? Well, I think we're getting a bit excited, aren't we? And the excitement hasn't come yet because we haven't even done the dressing up yet. That's when the real excitement will start. Okay, now, did you see you went past one little cubicle? This is the second cubicle, and there are two more cubicles. They are little classrooms. They are classrooms, okay? So the classrooms are there for all the children who come after school, and they would learn Arabic because, can we please put our fingers on it, because there are so many children talking and I'm forgetting what I have to say, okay? Right, let me start again. So, there are lots and lots of children who come here after school and they learn Arabic from the alphabet so that they can read the Quran, then memorize verses of the Quran and then read their prayers. Praying is not really needed until you're older, but we try and get children into a routine from an early age, because try learning Arabic when you're a teenager. It's not going to happen, is it? And this is where the government recognized a couple of years back as well, that if you introduce languages at an early age, children are more likely to learn. Not only would they learn Arabic, they would learn stories from the Quran. So I'm just going to come over here. There's lots of bookcases here where we've got Qurans from all over the world. So we would look at what language your mother tongue is first, which language you speak at home. And there's Qurans starting off with, you would learn and read the Quran in your own language. So this is actually a Bangladeshi one. We've got an Urdu one here, we've got an Arabic one here. Nowadays there are Arabic, not just Arabic Qurans, but from all over the world. This one is actually English. This one is by Marmaduke Pickthall. Did you know he was the first Englishman to translate the Quran in English? Okay? And they, not only would they learn how to pray in the Quran, they would learn stories from the Quran, like Noah's Ark and Pharaoh and Moses. All the stories that are in the Bible are also in the Quran as well. So they would learn those. They would also learn good manners, how to be good to the elderly, how to help poor people, how to give money to charity, how to be good to your neighbours, that kind of stuff as well. Okay? Have we got any questions about the school? So there are 4 classrooms like this on the ground floor. When it's Fridays, these walls are folded back like a concertina, and then it becomes a big hall to pray in, because it's on Fridays we have the most number of worshippers. Okay? Right, have we got any questions about prayer so far? Or anything I've showed you down here? And then the rest of the questions we will do when we go up and finish everything else. Yes?
How many different languages are the Quran books written in?
Hundreds. In fact, there is each language in the country the Quran is translated in. The latest language Qurans that we have to import in this country is actually Eastern European, Polish and things like that. We've got a lot of those children coming. But thanks to the internet, it's very easy to get Qurans from different countries nowadays. In the olden days it might have been difficult, but nowadays because of the internet we can get Qurans from everywhere. Right, have you got a question?
Why do you need 4 classrooms?
Because there's that many children. And like you've got lots of classrooms in your school, haven't you? You haven't just got one for the whole class school, have you?
No.
So obviously they are age differentiated according to their ability and age. And we do try and get qualified teachers in. And I teach actually here in the school that runs here. So it's we try and get qualified teachers in. But do you know, in Islam, it's actually double difficult. Not only are we getting qualified teachers in, we have to also get teachers who know about the religion. You can't just get any old person coming in and teaching religion. You've got to have somebody who's learned within Islam as well. Okay? Right, any more questions? You're asking good questions, by the way. Any more questions before we go back upstairs? Yes?
Well, when you go to the bathroom,
Yes. Now, you know when you came in and you took all your shoes off, there was a big line of toilets. In fact, you'll see those on your way out again. Big line of toilets there. Okay? And that's when you come in. Before you wash yourselves, we go to the toilet first, and then we will wash ourselves. So it's super clean. Yes?
Why does the Quran start from the right to the left?
Because that's the way Arabic is written. Okay? Remember I said to you, Aramaic also reads from right to left, and so does Hebrew, which is the language which Moses speaks. Okay? There's a lot of actually similarities with Hebrew. Did you know salam, I told you that's how we greet each other. Shalom is the same word as salam in Hebrew. That's how Jews greet each other as well. So it's all linked, all completely linked. Okay?
You want to ask?
Oh, have you got a question? Did you have a question? What is it?
Why are those on the wall?
Those are prayers on the wall. Okay? Prayers like, you know, like even within the Bible and within the Torah as well, there's different prayers for different things. So different prayers to ask God for happiness, different prayers of when you enter your house, and different prayers of blessing your house. That's a prayer that's written up there. Okay? Any more questions? Adults to do with prayer, any questions? No. No? Okay, right, let's go back up. We will have time for questions. So we're going to go back up and we're going to carry on the rest of the talk upstairs.
Shall I turn off?
Okay, are we all up here? Okay, so while we're on the topic of prayer, I thought I'll show you a real imam. So if we can have our imam at the front, and as you can see, imam has many jobs. He's doing the technical stuff at the moment as well. It's not just about reading the Quran, it's the whole job of doing so many other things. So this is what an imam looks like. He's an ordinary person, just like a reverend is an ordinary person. When he prays, he would wear a long white robe. In a minute, I am going to dress some of you up and I'll show you what kinds of stuff he would be wearing. And this is where he would sit and he would do his sermon on Fridays. And he can speak English as well, okay? A lot of imams are born and brought up in this country, so they've got the same Cockney accent like I have. So we can relate to imams and things. Okay, has anybody got any questions for their imam? Yes? Have you got a question specifically for their imam? Who is like a reverend, a vicar in a church? Go on then. What is that? That's called a mimbar. A mimbar, isn't it?
These are called kind of dice where imam has to be stand up and need to speak to everybody. So people can see the wisely. That's why we have to stand up there and we have to do some sort of
yes, a sermon. I already mentioned all that. Have you all been listening? I did talk about all of that already, didn't I?
Like you have priests in the church and they have a specific dice and they stand in front of you and they are speaking to worship.
Okay.
a similar thing, but it has been made by the different way.
Right, I'm going to have one more question because I've just been told that they have to leave at 11:20 and I definitely want to get the dressing up done. So let's have you for one last question to the Imam. What do they do? What do you do?
We lead the prayers. Basically, the people who don't know how to do the prayer, also all of the people who are coming towards the mosque for the prayer, they are not allowed to pray themselves, so they need an imam. Exactly the same way the people who are going to church, they need someone to pray for them. Because all of the Muslims, they don't know about everything. So they are still learning. We are still on the learning period. So we are learning every day. So we have to follow the imam. So basically, the imam have to stand at the front and the rest of the people have to follow the imam, how he is praying. Some people do forget how to pray. So we do help them. We do recite for them. Because imam is the person who have memorized the whole Quran. Quran is the book which my colleague has been told you. The Quran we have memorized in our heart. So when we do lead the prayer, we do recite the Quran.
Okay,
Is
right.
that clear?
Yes. Thank you very much. We do have to carry on now because I have to go at 11:20.
That's right.
But thank you very much for that. That was very good.
Yes.
That we've got a real imam in the mosque that you can all have a look at what they would look like. Charity pillar I covered downstairs already. I mentioned to you already that we give 2.5% of our money to those who are poor. The fasting month actually just went a couple of weeks ago. Now, Jesus fasted in the desert for 40 days. Who knows what that period is called? It begins with a L. Yes? Lent. Well done. So Jesus fasted in the desert for 40 days. Did you know that he had a 24-hour fast? From evening to evening he fasted for 40 days. Moses also fasted just before he received the 10 Commandments on the mountain for 40 days, 24 hours from evening to evening. But when Islam came, God updated the rules and we were told to fast just for 30 days for only approximately 12 hours, just daylight hours only. So it's a much shorter fast than the previous nations. So, and we fast in Ramadan. You know the story I told you about the Quran coming down in Ramadan? The story of in the cave? That actually happened in Ramadan. So Ramadan is an anniversary of the Quran being revealed, and that is when we fast. And we do not eat during daylight hours. So we would have a big breakfast. We would not have any lunch. So that would make us hungry for part of the day. We would feel how the poor feel, then we would have a big dinner in the evening. So because of that, we are more likely then to help the poor because we feel how they feel. Okay? We also do lots of other good things in Ramadan. The charity pillar I spoke to you about, we try and do in Ramadan as well. And all of that makes you really grateful for all the food you've got to eat. And did you know that children do not need to fast? It's only for young, fit adults. Okay? And then at the end of Ramadan, the fasting month, what do you think we have after all that month of not having any lunch? What do you think we might have at the end? Yes?
A giant party?
Good. And that's the best bit. We are very, very lucky. Because did you know that in Islam, did you know that we have two Eids? Eid means celebration. Al means off. Fitr means breaking. What are we breaking that day? Yes? Our fast, so we can eat again. So, what do you think we would be doing mostly on this Eid? We'll be eating, obviously, but the celebrations are very, very similar to Christmas. So we would put lights up in our houses. In Islamic countries, there's lights in all the streets as well. We would also go to the mosque early in the morning to pray. Again, the shape of that mosque is like the front of your hats. So you might have seen henna tattoos. That's really in fashion in England at the time, isn't it? So many people are getting henna tattoos now. So lots of girls would paint henna on their hands. They would wear beautiful clothes, depending on which country they are originally from. Okay? And obviously we've got to have the food. We've broken our fast that day, so we have lots and lots of food to eat. And the best part, my favourite part, is presents and money. Okay? And we would give Eid cards as well. In the olden days, did you know you could not get Eid cards in this country, so we would make them as children. So here is an Eid card, a homemade one. But nowadays, thanks to Clinton cards and the internet, you can get Eid cards from everywhere. So this is actually a 3D one, the picture changes. So I'll pass these around here. And what we're going to do now is we're going to dress up in a couple of costumes, and the audience are going to guess which country that costume is from. Okay? So let me see, who can I choose? Who can I choose to come to the front and try on some clothes? I'll have you, but you need to take your jacket off. Is that okay? The yellow jacket needs to come off. And I need a small boy. Shall we have you there? Yes, you're sitting beautifully. Jacket must come off though. And if you come over here. Okay, can you quickly pop that skirt on with the gold at the front, just over your dress? Okay. You come over here. And in the meantime, you're all going to be ticking your brains to see which country you think this boy is from. Have a look at me because I can't see your head. That's it. I don't want to cover up your eyes. Brilliant. Okay, go and stand over there. Okay, pull it up a bit more. That's lovely. That really suits you. Right, off you go. All outfits. Hang on a minute. Got your scarf here. All outfits would normally have a scarf or a hat. Why is that then? What did I talk to you about earlier? Why would all outfits have either a scarf or a hat with it? Yes. Pardon? Yes, so in case when it's time to pray, then we can just quickly get it somewhere and then can pop it on your head. Right, which country are these two from?
Egypt.
Not Egypt, no. India. Well done. Not bad. Not a bad school for geography either, is it? They're good at RE and they're good at geography. Right, I need two more children. These two children are going to be really lucky. Right, we'll have you at the back there. Take your orange jacket off though. And we'll have you, but you need to take your jacket off. Okay? Some of you, if you're good, will get time in a minute to dress up. Right, I need you to put the skirt on and tuck your dress in it. Okay? No, nobody can guess this until everything's on. Because there's certain items that will give it away what they are. Okay? Right, this is called a fez. Some of us older ones will know that as a Tommy Cooper hat. That will show you how old I am. I think I'm the same age as you two girls. Because we got the same sense of humour, haven't we? Right. So, in the meantime, I want you to look and guess which country. It's not a country we've had before. Okay, which country are these two from? The coins gives it away. The coins on your waist give it away. Because you jiggle those. You want to jiggle those a little bit? There you go. What country is that? Yes. No, we've had India. I already said we're not repeating the countries. Yes. No, that definitely doesn't look Pakistan to me. No way. Yes. No. Come on then. That's a good answer, but it's not Morocco. It begins with the T. Someone said they've been there. Turkey. Was it you who said you've been to Turkey? Turkey. Okay, so these two are from Turkey. Okay? Now in Turkey, on the night before Eid, a drummer boy marches through the streets to tell everybody it's Eid the next day. Okay? So, okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the rhythm that that drummer boy would do, and you will do that rhythm. So you will go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay? And you will go 1, 2, 3. Okay? So, after 3, we are going to play that rhythm with our hands. And you're going to do the drumming, you're going to do the tambourine. And I want you two to march that way. Can you move to the side? Okay? Because I don't want anybody to get hurt with the sticks. So you will march that way and then you will march back again. Okay? And that will give you an idea of what happens in Turkey, where on the night for Eid, when they see the moon, they start celebrating with drums. Okay? Right, after 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Can all the children that are wearing hats come to me, please? All the ones that have got scarves and hats? And I'll quickly pop some bits on you. Yeah? Off you go. Once you're ready, then you need to go. Go and stand over there. Right, you two can come back in the line. And you are allowed to take photos if you want to. Right, that's your one. I know, we'll do that one in a minute. Okay, off you go. That's yours. Put your hand in there. That's good, girl. Off you go. Right. Could I borrow somebody to help me, please? Right, we need quite a big boy for this one, please. And then I'll put the headdress on in a minute. Okay, have we got any more teachers? Can I have another teacher to help me, please? Could we have that one of the girls? Should be a medium-sized girl. I do, yes. Pop that one on this one. And this goes around the waist, slightly the take I'll show you what you can do. This goes on there. And then the little and then the small go. Right, I need another boy. Should we have you? Because you answered lots of questions, didn't you? Right, can you all move along, please? And you need to be in a specific order. Can I have the girl in the red dress stand next to this boy here? Okay? Well done. You're also useful, both of you. And it's a heart. There is
You should be on your bottom, facing the right way.
brilliant. This hat comes on you. You look lovely. Yes. Right, can I just put everyone in order so that you're all with your own country? So you two are together. You two are together. Can you stand next to the girl in the green long thing, please? You come over here. Oh, that looks lovely. Right, you need to be over here.
No, he hasn't got anybody mixed up.
Yeah. Okay. Right, okay, let's have a guess at the other countries now.
Stand.
Okay, you need to go over there. Okay, who can tell me which country these three are from? These two look like Mary and Joseph, don't they, from the Nativity? Which country are these three from? Any ideas? I'll give you a clue. It's a country I have been talking to you earlier about. That's your clue. Shall we have you? Good boy, Saudi Arabia. These three are from Arabia. These two we've already done are from Turkey. Okay. Right, which country are these four from? And these jackets with the mirrors gives it away because that's very traditional for this country. And I'm going to choose you for that one because you should know that one. Which country? No, look at the jackets with the mirrors on them. Pakistan. I'm not happy with you. Honestly, she just come over from Pakistan and she didn't guess the country, her own country. Okay, so these four are from Pakistan. This girl here is from Tunisia, which is, I think you mentioned earlier, and you were very nearly right because there's coins there. Okay. What about these two? What about these two? No. Which country? This gives it away, doesn't it? Yes? Not Mexico. The hat. This is a sombrero, but did you know they originated in Spain? They went to Mexico later when the Spanish invaded Mexico. Okay? But this is actually from Spain. This is a flamenco dress. Okay? And these two, who can guess which country these two are from? Your buttons, if you can close up your buttons. Okay, which country are these two from? Yes? China, well done. And red is the good luck colour in China. Okay? That's it. Right, all of you need to go and sit down now. Not yet, we're going to do that at the end because we need to do questions quickly. Off you go. You can just sit at the front, it will be easier. Okay, right, the last pillar, very quickly, is actually to do with Abraham. Now, do you remember I talked about Abraham right at the beginning, where the lineage of Islam came from, okay? Now, Abraham, who knows the story of when Abraham had to sacrifice his son, and God put a lamb there in his son's place? Some of the adults might know this story. The story is in the Bible and it's in the Torah. When Abraham was asked to sacrifice his son, and God put a lamb there in his son's place. Okay? So, what we do is, what Abraham did was to thank God for saving his son. He built this very big sanctuary and called everybody to come and worship that one true God that saved his son. He was very, very thankful. Okay, so that sanctuary is called the Kaaba, and Kaaba means cube in Arabic. So it's a cube-like structure. So did you know that in the 12th month of the Islamic calendar, over 3.5 million Muslims from all around the world go there and visit that place. It's also the place where Muhammad was born, in Mecca, and we worship the one true God Allah. After that, whether you go to pilgrimage or you don't, we still celebrate another Eid, and this time, Eid means celebration, Al means off, and Ada means sacrifice, because this is linked with the sacrifice story. What do you think we have a lot to eat on this Eid? What do you think we have a lot to eat on this Eid? Because it's linked with the story of when his son got saved with the lamb. So what do you think we have a lot to eat on this Eid? Yes, lamb, a lot of roast lamb. All the other celebrations are the same. We get money, presents, we dress up, we put lights up in our houses, we give out Eid cards. We are very, very lucky as Muslims, because not only do we get our two own festivals, we still get all the other celebrations in this country. We're always at home and we have dinners with our families and all the rest. Okay? Right, let us now have questions. Any questions at all on what you have learned today, or any personal questions you want to ask me as a Muslim person? Yes? Muslims live in all over the world. In each and every country you will get a Muslim person. So, just like Christians live all over the world, okay? So, all the countries where there are wars, it doesn't mean that's got to be an Islamic country, because there are wars all over the world, okay? And remember, people who do wars, they're not really following their religion, because if you follow your religion properly, any religion, all religions are about being good and peaceful. And in Islam, just imagine if you're asked to pray 5 times a day, you're remembering God. If anybody does do any wars, they can't really be Muslim, can they? So Islam, the actual word means peace. So all religions are all to do with peace and love and harmony. And if anybody does anything other than that, in a bad way, then they are not following their religion properly. And they can't really be that religion then. Okay? Right, have you remembered your question? Or was that, no, that was you, wasn't it? Yes, what was your question? You look like a real Arab there, don't you? Don't they suit their costumes? They just look absolutely brilliant, they really do.
Why?
No, that's okay, because you're supposed to pull it up, that's why. Right, come on then, tell me then.
Why does every country have different dressing ups?
Everybody has their own traditional costumes for their country. And when it's Eid, you dress up in something different and special, and normally you would dress up in the native costume of that country. Even England, the Morris dances is actually a traditional costume for England. What about Scottish within England? They wear their Scottish kilts and things, don't they? At the moment, there's football mania, and everybody's out there in their football shorts and t-shirts. Okay? So every country has their own traditional costumes, and you've just seen a selection here, really. Yes?
Why do they have to light up candles?
At Christmas, do we not put lights up and decorate our houses? That is common for all festivals. You decorate your house with decorations and lights. That is common for all festivals, not just Eid. Okay? So that's a good thing, isn't it? You're decorating as you're happy. Yes?
What are the England costumes then?
Well, I just mentioned that Morris dances is quite traditional, and maybe football at the moment, football outfits. Okay? Even Victorian outfits. If someone wants to dress up really traditional English, they might put a Victorian costume on, because Victoria was a great queen in England, and her era was really prominent. Okay? So maybe you should have an England Day in your school. See what. Do you know what? If England wins, oh, the whole of England will be dressing up in English costumes. You watch. Okay? Right. Any more questions before you go back downstairs? Because I know you have to go back to school. Any more questions? Do you think you've learned a lot today? Yeah. Definitely. I know your teachers were absolutely brilliant, and I really got on with both of these two. They were lovely. Really nice. You're so lucky, aren't you? And it is a good school, because they knew a lot about RE and they knew a lot about geography as well. One last question before we finish off. Do you think you might remember later? If you remember later, then I'll help you with all your shoes on in a minute. Right, what we need to do now is, if all the children have got clothes on, whatever you can take off yourself, like your hats and your skirts and that kind of stuff, please try and do whatever you can. The waistcoats are very easy to take off. And pop them in this corner in the red bag, please. Any of the original hats you all tried on earlier all go on this table here. Okay? The rest of you need to line up at the door, and I will take you down. You will take one drink and one snack, and then you will go towards the door where your shoes are.